This video is about proportion, and it's about the proportions of the mannequin. So I've drawn a 12-inch vertical line on my paper, and I've divided it in half at 6 inches. And then I've drawn a line at about 1.5 inches. That's the size of the head of the mannequin. I'm using that as my base measurement. Right now I'm drawing the hips, and I know the hips are about 1 head high. The torso is a little bit bigger, maybe 1 1/3 to 1.5 times as high as the head. So I'm just blocking these in. I've measured out, and I have another video on the actual measurements of the mannequin. Here I'm drawing in what I know. I'm drawing in where the shoulders align, where the hips align. The legs are about half the length of the entire body, including the ball joints for the hips. The feet are just a little bit below that 12-inch mark, not much. So right now I'm just really constructing the mannequin. I'm putting the arms in. The arms drop down to about halfway down the thighs. That's where the tips of the hands are. I keep comparing back and forth. I want to make sure everything's lined up. The elbows are about halfway down between the shoulders and the wrists. Same with the legs. The knees are about halfway down between the hips and the ankles. Notice the ball joints are all different sizes. The big ball joint in the middle is the largest. That's sitting right on top of the hips. That's like the belly. The shoulders and the hip ball joints are larger than the elbows and knees, and then the elbows and knees are slightly larger than the wrists and ankles. The neck is about the same size as the elbows and knees. Now I'm taking the actual mannequin and drawing from what I see. I used a lot of knowledge in the first part. Now I really want to use observation. A combination of the two is really excellent, but if you have to choose one over the other, I would say observation is more important. However, it helps to be able to get everything set up so that the details that you put in at this point are placed properly and proportioned properly. So I'm really paying attention now to the mannequin, looking at things like the curves that occur in the cylinders that make up the upper arms and lower arms, the thighs and the calves of the legs. Basically, a mannequin is really a series of cylinders that are joined together by ball joints. Even the torso and the hips are modified cylinders. So one of the things we'll be looking at in this video is about those ball joints. I want to try to forestall some of the problems that I see people have with the figure, with the mannequin figure. One is either making the width of the arms and legs, the torso and hips too wide or too narrow. The torso is about 1 head wide at the widest point. The hips are narrower. Now here I have adjusted my drawing a little bit more. Now what I'm doing right here is I am tracing over one of the arms on a piece of tracing paper. One of the things about the ball joints is that things pivot from them. So a lot of times what I see people do is they make the arm too long when they pivot it, or too short. It's exactly the same length when it pivots. See how I can turn that. So that arm now is pivoting from the shoulder. I could include the wrist and the elbow, but I don't want to make this too complicated. Doing one more of these. I'm going to do a leg also. So I want you to do this. Just cut yourself a strip of tracing paper and you lay it over that leg or the arm. Actually, you're going to do both. So lay it over the top and then trace over it. And then you're going to angle it You want to line it right up with the ball joint so it overlaps the ball joint. So when you draw the mannequin, if the mannequin is posed, which it will be most of the time, in other words, it won't be standing straight in front of you with its arms down at its side. It'll be, the legs will be bent, the arms will be bent, even the torso, from where that ball joint and the torso meet, it can bend from there, and the head. So any place you see a ball joint, you can angle those limbs, including the feet and hands. The most stable spot in the entire mannequin, the part that doesn't move, is the hip area. The hips are fixed to the pole that holds the mannequin up, and so that you can always count on the hips being stable. They won't bend, they won't tilt. There you have mannequin with a little added angle to the arm and leg.